You have created a monster and it will destroy you.
Is AI the monster out to destroy Black people?
To answer the question in a more nuanced way, I think Black people should be aware of the potential risk.
That's next on Blackland.
And now,
as a brown person, you just feel so invisible.
That's not fiction. Where we're from.
Brothers and sisters, I welcome you to this joyful day.
We celebrate freedom. Where we are.
Get on the ground!
I know someone heard something.
And where we're going.
We the people means all the people.
The Black Information Network presents Blackland with your host, Vanessa Tyler.
With AI, fraudsters can take 3 seconds, and you all know this, 3-second recording of your voice. I've watched one of me on a couple of things. I said, when the hell did I say that?
Well, you didn't, Mr. President. He's talking about those deep fakes.
Okay, Afua and Nicole, are you guys ready?
With me, the most brilliant minds on the topic. I especially wanted to talk to these two sisters about AI and what it means for us. Nicole Jackson is a computer designer and one of the leading women in STEM, and Afua Bruce is an engineer, data executive, deeply committed to how AI can be used for the social good.
Nicole, we've been hearing bits and pieces about how AI will hurt Black people, loss of low-wage jobs, totally racist facial recognition, and election misinformation targeting us. Should Black people fear AI for dragging racism into the future?
I think we do need to be aware about what these systems are being used to do, how that affects us as a community, how that affects us long-term from a systems view, from employment and healthcare all the way through education and through exposure. But I also think we need to lean into it and say, okay, so now that we know that these are risks, what are we going to do about it?
What are we going to do? Afua, I like that. Data in, data out. AI is up and running. Who's feeding it? Who's programming it? And is it already too late?
Yeah, I think that is the question of the day and the question of the coming days, because even for all of the efforts that have gone into creating AI systems now, and AI has been around for decades, although part of public conversation for only a year or so. So actually, let me step back just for a second and sort of define what AI is. I think people hear the terms that may not understand what that means. So I think of AI as algorithms that are processing data to process, predict, or to produce information. Traditional AI uses computer algorithms to process data to do things such as analysis and predictions. Generative AI, which is ChatGPT and the like, uses algorithms to generate content. And so all of this is really powered by the underlying data systems. And data systems and data is created by humans.
So this is where it gets tricky. Human input, human bias, human assumptions.
So we do see in a lot of data systems the masking really or overlooking or overgeneralizing of information, especially as it relates to people of color and to Black people specifically. This then results in your AI system is built solely on top of data that has bias in it. The predictions, the processing, the analysis is going to be somewhat biased.
The tragedy for us is when that biased data is used against us. Afua Bruce, who was the executive director of the White House Office of National Science and Technology under President Obama, now advises government agencies how to incorporate AI into their work.
AI, is a new type of programming. So the first thing I tell people to keep in mind is to really understand your values, because that's going to then be reflected in what you develop. I encourage agencies to use AI tools as ways to include and not ways to automatically exclude. So we want to think about using AI to help maybe identify instances of fraud or identify who might be at greatest need of resources, as opposed to saying this AI tool is going to automatically remove people from access to healthcare or remove people from access to housing or automatically determine who stays in jail for how long.
There is good to AI, and Nicole Jackson, the computer designer, says this country is going to need the flip side of AI.
And then how can AI enable you to scale? How can it help you reimagine some of the monotony of the things that we've just gotten used to doing because that's how we did it? And how are we going to reimagine systems? And the promise of AI can actually do that, or at least some of it. It just shouldn't do everything. And the things that are the higher risk that Afua was talking about, the things where people can be harmed, that's where we start to apply that ethical boundary. That's where we start to apply the risk pool, which, by the way, we've seen Canada and we've seen the UK really apply pressure in this space and really, really question. And I don't think anyone's gotten it right or perfect, but at least it's in the conversation and it's an opportunity for Black people in particular to do exactly what was stated. How will you be participating? If you are in this space in software or data science or any of the things that we're doing, how are you going to engage?
So what we can do about that is a couple of things. One, from a research perspective, for all the scientists and engineers out there, we can work on how to correct that data. Two is we can teach people how to identify bias in data, and then how to update the decisions that are made based on that bias and to sort of correct for that. And so three, we can actually decide in some cases that we don't want to use AI in situations because the bias is so great that the way that these systems would work would inevitably lead to even more biased outcomes.
We've all heard about the horrors when AI is used incorrectly by law enforcement, specifically facial recognition, when it's the only investigative source, something Niger Parks will never forget. His is the face of AI gone wrong for Black people. He tells CNN back in 2019, police from Woodbridge, New Jersey came looking for him for a theft at a local Hampton Inn, resulting in a list of serious crimes: aggravated assault, unlawful possession of weapons, shoplifting, hitting a police car while trying to escape, almost running over an officer, and using a fake ID. Because at the scene of the crime, police found a fake license with a picture. Bingo. Cops relied on AI to find their man. A facial recognition match says it was Niger Parks.
It wasn't any evidence. It was just a picture. A computer said we look alike.
The picture: a Black man about the same age, early 30s, same shaped face, but looking at both Niger and the suspect, his mother could tell you the two men don't even come close.
He looks nothing like him. Looks nothing like him. Which goes back to people think, have a saying, all Black people look the same. That's the first thing came to my mind. The worst part for me was when we went to court. To see my son shackled and handcuffed in court, fighting for his life. He didn't do it. And it's like nobody believed him.
On top of that, Niger Parks was arrested, spent 11 days, 10 nights in jail, and was facing years in prison over a photo. And like his mom said, no one believed him.
I'm like, yo, I didn't do this. That's not me. He's like, everybody's in here said he's innocent. Like, you got to prove that you're innocent. But I shouldn't have to prove that I'm innocent. You should have to prove that I'm guilty.
As good as AI is, and it can help police quickly close a case, it is terrible in many instances at getting dark faces right. Niger, by the way, is suing over his false arrest and the trauma he endured. Back to my conversation with Nicole and Afua. Nicole tells a story about a project she worked on, only reinforcing the shortfalls of AI and Black people.
I remember working with a robot. It was called Jibo. It was a product from a Kickstarter. I think MIT helped back it. I love this little robot thing. Okay. And it was incredible. We were working health IT on a project, and I started to play with it. And I noticed that it could never see me when I went to go and activate it because it used facial recognition. But if any of my peers in my office went up to it, it sure would unlock and begin to engage. And it was, interactive and would talk back and respond. And, the point there is it took quite a few, conversations back and forth with the Kickstarter team. They made some updates. It eventually fixed itself over time.
And despite the concerns, we need AI. Talk about why.
I think there are many great applications of AI, to be honest. And, I think that sometimes we fall victim to a lot of how the media or movies, especially, like to portray technology and AI is that it is evil and it will always ultimately take over the world.
But they say our world needs AI. It will help us and surprisingly fill in the population gaps.
The mass retirement of a baby boomer population and, the shrinking birth populations and how all of those things play in dynamics in the workforce. And what we'll find is, we're going to have to reimagine how people have worked, meaning we used to apply a lot of human capital to places where there won't be a lot of human capital anymore.
I used to help lead a nonprofit that did AI for mission driven organizations around the world. And we created solutions such as helping frontline health workers in Nigeria digitize their records, going from taking that information, it used to be more than 30 days to process, to processing it in just 8 hours. That means that the doctors on the ground can respond to health crises a lot more quickly. We worked with AI to look at systems in areas where they were drought prone. And so therefore we were able to help the water districts better anticipate where the drought was going to be and to redirect water supply in different places. I know there are actively organizations today that are using AI to help people better file for benefits, apply for SNAP benefits, to use SNAP benefits, healthcare benefits, and more. There are a lot of positive uses of AI. And as Nicole said, it's really time for people, for all people, for Black people especially, to sign up to help on this. You can sign up and you can contribute as an engineer, as a coder, as a developer, but also, especially with AI, because it relies so much on the interpretation of data.
We need way more people applying pressure. We need way more people really looking at what's being built, questioning and applying pressure. And as that happens, you start to see the right course of action.
As Black people, we are not new to what racism looks like and how it can show up in every aspect of our life. And so we have to remember that AI reflects what the humans who design it put into it.
There are a number of Black people making sure they are on the other side of the keyboard, inputting the correct data. Let's take a quick trip down to Jackson, Mississippi.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
You call yourself a tech evangelist. So, what is the gospel of tech?
Well, the gospel of tech is very inclusive and accessible now, more than we think.
Meet Dr. Nashley Cephas, tech evangelist. Normally, we think Silicon Valley, not Jackson, Mississippi, a majority Black city mostly known for having years of bad water issues. But Nashley has a vision. Her company, BeanPath, is planting seeds that are sprouting tech leaders.
Yet still, a lot of times our communities go without. And so I wanted to make sure that at least for this one community, from which I was born and raised, Jackson, Mississippi, and Central Mississippi, really Mississippi overall, had access to emerging technologies. Youth were exposed to these technologies. Small business owners and startups could be encouraged and empowered to use these technologies to their advantage, and that we could be more informed overall about the limitations as well as the benefits, because the more we fear technology, the more farther behind we get, and that only hurts us in the long run.
She says we've got to get in the game.
A lot of technology is based on the computer. A lot of that is based on the internet, and a lot of times we don't have access to that, or very efficient access, or even have access to the education around how to use technology.
That's where Bean Sprout comes in. She teaches Black people how to code, program their experiences into AI.
We incorporate a hands-on aspect with AI and robotics, 3D printing, laser cutting, drafting and design, even sewing and fashion tech. And so there's so many ways to apply technology to our culture, to our way of arts, our way of cooking, our way of making. And we just haven't really seen a lot of people make that connection. One, because there's not a lot of us in this space.
And it's lucrative. She should know she was part of a team that made millions.
You don't always have to go to work for someone. You can create your own business. And I actually did that, being the CTO of startup company Part Pick, based in Atlanta. And we actually were acquired by Amazon. We sold that company for multi-millions of dollars. That was something that I'd never done, never heard of, never even thought was possible, because it had never been shared with me. But this is exactly how people do it in Silicon Valley, et cetera.
When you look at some of the people who are the billionaires, the wonder boys of tech, many of them never even went to college.
If you put in some work, some due diligence, even self-study, over the course of maybe 6 months, 3 to 6 months, get a certification or learn a new skill, you can get into the six-figure salary pretty quickly. We're not asking everybody to get a degree in computer engineering. We're not even asking everyone to learn how to code. We're just saying, hey, you need to be aware of what this tool can do for you and how you can use it to create and innovate.
But first, Dr. Cephas had to sell her community on this.
We started, changing the way we were marketing to people. So we went to the churches, of course, because there's our huge community there of people that need help, tech help. We also went to the schools. We went to community organizations like the Boys and Girls Club and Jackson Public Schools and the other libraries and even the partnering universities like Jackson State University. And we started getting more people to come. And before we knew it, people were lined up at the library door before the library even opened to come and talk to us and get tech help. Sometimes parents would bring their kids just to see what a Black engineer looked like because they didn't know what to tell them.
It got so big, she had to get a building that is now the centerpiece of town, where Blacks learn tech.
It's literally a 17,000 square foot barn located in the middle of downtown. And I said, okay, I want to purchase this building. I found out the same guy owned majority of the property around it, surrounding property. Gave me an awesome deal, and fast forward, now have 21 acres of land and 8 buildings in downtown Jackson.
And now it's so huge, it's morphed into providing affordable housing on the grounds.
How is this changing the city?
Well, I think it's changing it in a few ways. One, we want people to realize that there is talent here in Jackson and the surrounding areas. And we do have a tech ecosystem. We may not be as collaborative or aware of each other, but we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary, and we do have a tech ecosystem from youth all the way to the business owners and the adults who are seeking help, and they want access to somewhere where they can learn more skills because they're not associated with a university. They're not associated with, a job that allows them to learn these things. And so where else do they go? And so they come here. We're also trying to fight what we call the brain drain problem with this broader real estate development. If we bring more tech startups and tech companies to Jackson, if this helps attract them, then more people like myself, which I'm a product of the brain drain, people that get educated in the state and leave in order to get the jobs that they need or jobs that they want or getting the salary that they want, we can also entice those people to stay in the state and help the economy that way. We've helped over 3,000 people to date, and that number keeps growing with tech skills, tech exposure. We've put on at least 150 programs in that time for youth, for senior citizens, for churches, etc. So I've invested over $1 million of my own personal capital into the broader project. We've also raised over $1 million on the philanthropy side, and we're continuing to move.
Bottom line, we can't sit back and let AI program us. We must program it. At least be aware of what's happening. From Mississippi, we go to the Bronx. We are in the house, the Knowledge House. That's the name of the place in New York, teaching people about AI. Hear the passion of founder Geraldine Rodriguez, also joining in with her, Daniel Adeyanju.
First, Geraldine, how are you making sure Black people are aware and involved in AI?
So what's really important about the Knowledge House's work is that we are raising awareness about opportunities to enter and thrive in the tech sector. And now AI is part of that. The future of AI is here. And so the same way that we want the general public to have digital literacy skills, the same way that we want job seekers to have the basic tech foundations, right now, your average technologist needs to know how AI works, what are the risks and innovative opportunities that we have because of AI. And so for the Knowledge House, it's about exposing our participants to what AI looks like in the day-to-day and what's coming ahead. So at the Knowledge House, we provide technology education programs and job training to make sure that folks from low-income communities have the opportunity to thrive in tech.
Well, Daniel, what will happen to us if we are not involved in this revolution?
Vanessa, that's such a great question. It's something that we think about all of the time. And I think there's two things that I want to focus on is one, the economic opportunity landscape. If we are left out of that, it will continue to increase the gap between the rich and the poor, between Black and brown folks and other counterparts who simply just have more access to this information, have more access to the economic opportunity. In Web 2.0, essentially digitizing online food ordering, cars, all these things that we've seen, a large amount of wealth is generated, and we were left out of that. So that's why when we were founded 10 years ago, when Geraldine made this happen, it was to ensure that we wouldn't be left out. So we're not going to be caught unawares this time because of what we're doing at the Knowledge House. The second part we should be thinking about is ensuring that we are part of building this new order. We need to make sure that our communities are included in making decisions. We can't have AIs policing us that were designed by forces that just simply weren't considering our dynamics. We need people ensuring that biases are not encoded. That is, past decisions that have been made against our communities are not essentially repeated. So if you think about what code does, you write code one time and it's repeated over and over and over again, and without a human saying, no, this isn't right, something is wrong here, this is actually impacting my community. Some people can go to jail that really should have been given an alternative pathway, an opportunity to redeem themselves. And the Knowledge House ensures that our future is brighter by making sure that folks from our underestimated communities are, for example, going into our data track. They're learning the fundamentals of databases, how to clean data, how to find data, how to analyze data, how to use coding, as you mentioned, to create these AI models and the underpinnings of these systems. So our fellows are going to be leading the future of work. They're going to be getting AI jobs. They are going to be getting data scientist roles. They're also going to be designing experiences. So we have a user experience track. When you talk about things like ChatGPT, how do you design an experience that is relevant for communities that we're from, solving problems that are native to us? So we see our fellows as problem solvers who will solve problems in their communities, not just problems for companies looking to profit.
It sounds as if you're saying that all the things that we've been worried about that may be wrong can be corrected.
There's hope. Absolutely. I consider myself a techno optimist in that with the work that the Knowledge House is doing and organizations like us and partnering companies that invest in our work, community organizations, politicians, governments, if we kind of take this full court press, all hands on deck, the mothers, grandmamas, aunties and uncles in the community, we can make sure that our young people are enrolled in a program like our Kareem Karbush Coding Fellowship, where in high school, they can learn these skills from a young age. And post 18, they can enroll in a program like ours, where they can learn how to code, how to design, how to protect cybersecurity systems, how to build an AI leveraging problem set. So I think it's really important that our communities are part of this work, that they're getting these skills, and that they're solving problems in their own communities.
When we started the Knowledge House 9 years ago, tech was trending, especially in New York City, but we were just saying that the Bronx was being left out of those opportunities. And so that's why we started the Knowledge House. And so as we grow and expand the program into other cities across the country, it's so important that we stay grounded on increasing access, right? Because increased access leads to economic mobility, right? And so when it comes to AI, my understanding is that not everyone's going to become an AI technologist, right? But it's about accessing AI tools and knowing how to use them responsibly.
So now we know. In addition to the Bronx, the Knowledge House has expanded places to learn tech in Westchester, Atlanta, LA, and Newark, New Jersey, and coming to other cities. Check their website, theknowledgehouse.org. The takeaway? AI is part of our lives. Make it work for you, not against you.
We must be problem solvers, and we need to make sure that our communities are getting these skills. We need to make sure that we are seeing ourselves as builders and not just consumers.
Next time on Blackland, we're going to the streets with the story of a woman who has lived that life with all the horror, abuse, exploitation, human trafficking.
It really is the new age slavery. It really, truly is, because I was sold. I did not receive a dime of any money that was earned from me. I was humiliated. I was raped. I was tortured. And this was like a daily thing.
Join me on Blackland with Vanessa Tyler.